what I'm doing is just trying to buy some time and grab this roller and all I'm really worried about doing is getting the paint spreaded, get the first coat done. But this is kind of what you gotta do though. Cut corners. And the reason why I'm not running drops right now is because I don't want to have to keep moving them to paint the trim. I'm just trying to get through here. Just trying to get through here without having to lay down drops yet. But this is just one of those things where you gotta use what you got the best as possible. And see how you can, it's because you don't want the roller marks in there. That's where this whole back brushing comes into play. Basically what I'm going to do is just keep some things limited right now. And sometimes you can use a roller like this just to spread your paint a little faster. Because you can do, what I do is I spread it, then I'll back brush it. Then I'll come back through and roll this edge out. Cheap.
I'm right-handed, so I like to go from the right side to the left side. It definitely helps me. So like, what I do is I pull this corner this way, and then all my other strokes will go this way. And like I said, this is just to get a first coat on this thing, because if I can get this first coated today, I feel like I'm ahead of the curve. The reason why it's so important to get this thing first coated today is because my brother only built this thing for, I didn't build it for 2 days, so um, this is today's my second day. So if I can get everything done, because I didn't work all day yesterday in here, I was actually doing other stuff too. So I didn't really work in here at all because I didn't have the paint to do anything. And the closest paint store is like 45 minutes away. It's in a whole nother town, so I had to drive 2 hours today to get the paint store back. And that's time that I'm not on the job. So try to explain that too. So when it writes down how many seconds it takes you to stand still and walk, he literally breaks down every little thing. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get as far back as I can right now, because then I'm gonna go this way and get the front part. Sometimes you gotta get a stick to get that middle part, but if I can reach both sides, if I can reach both sides of it from the sides, I'll do that. But usually, if you get a roll heater like this, you gotta do like you'll probably have to put your roller on a stick or something like that just to get back here. And that, my friends, is how you feed behind that register. I got paint on the floor. We got lucky because these are um, just high enough you can get underneath of them and hit this bottom lip. Uh, Normally, they sit real close to the floor, so you either have to take it back so far to stop. But we got lucky because these are here, they're lifted up off the ground, so we can actually get underneath of it, cut it, and then I'll roll the front half with a roller. So what I'm gonna do is try to get back in there as far as possible on both sides, and hopefully I can meet in the middle. almost reached it. Now when I roll the wall, down, I can get it back into my cut line. This spot right here is tricky sometimes because you got to get it from out here and down here. Well, there's a pipe coming out right here, so you got to kind of like finagle it. But once you get some paint spread on it, it should be pretty good.
See what I mean? There's that little rod. You know, it's kind of funny when you're painting this base, the base usually goes pretty quick, but it seems like the door jambs always hold you up. Because you got to be a little more attentive when it comes to painting door jambs. Like, you just gotta make sure you don't get paint all over everything that you're not trying to tear up, more or less. But and this base is just, you know, it's just a one-piece thing. So once you get the top and then you cut it in, the rest of it just filling it in and smoothing it out, getting your paint spreaded nice and evenly, so it's got a nice coat. Because that's what it really comes down to, is putting a nice coat on it. Especially being the first coat, you want to have a nice little build to it. No, because you can coat something and you can spread it, like you can take a dip and then spread it and it'll run. Or you can take it and you can spread it and you keep spreading it till it's so thin you almost wipe it back off. The trick is getting right in between that, where it's just thick enough, but it's also just thin enough to where it's not gonna sag or look trashy. And that's something that you catch with, or that's something you learn over the years. You gotta paint that frame on that picture to match the walls. As he wanted to just paint that to match the walls. I think he likes the picture, not the frame color, because the color looks kind of like tan. But this is what I was talking about. Like, you can spread that stuff to where it's so thin you can just see right through it. See what I mean? And once you do this enough, you start to catch on like how thick you really want it. But I noticed if you can get a nice thin, like the thinner the coat, the better. Because once you paint it, what it does is it levels itself out. Like once you spread it, it will level itself out. And if it's thinner, it'll level itself out a little bit lower than, like, depending on how thick you put it, it'll level itself out a little thinner, and it won't give you a real thick, nasty looking coat. It's actually kind of I caught on to it a few years ago when I was painting some doors, and I was like, man, if I put that on thin, it just lays down better. It just looks better. And I noticed once I started doing it more often, and it did. It turned out a lot better. It just laid down like, because if you notice, I don't take it that far, and then I'll back brush it. It's because I know I didn't put a bunch of paint right there. Like, even though I got that much paint on my brush, it don't go very far. But just like this right here, how I just did that corner, now this one I can take it a little bit farther because I'm not doing this whole area. I can stretch it. Because really all the cut is for is this little area right here. Like that much of it. Everything else is going to get the roller will stop right here. And then when you do your back brush, you just do your little, you do your rounded off corners like that. Then round your corners off. Reason why, because if I just took it over and went down, it would have this little weird L right here that's kind of heavier than everything else. So it's always a good thing to round your corners off. This trim gets painted the same color as the walls, so I'm not really worried about that. I don't know how I'm gonna handle it at this second because there's wet mud up there, and I can't necessarily paint it just yet, so. I'm trying to work around some wet mud. See?
So this right here is a perfect example of, see how when you spread it like this, then you get under here, then you get over here. What I like to do is bring it up and around, and run it right back into it, and then I'll take this one and I'll go under here and do that. And it's all going that way. I wanted to record this video to show you guys how cool this thing is when it's going to be done. Like this collar that he picked, I think he found it a little while back, but we was on a job. I think it was on one of the jobs that we did for him. Like I said, he's an interior decorator, so they're really keen on colors like this, like stuff that you might think was a good color and it really is. But he's got this color going up against the other the other color, it looks kind of like a black. Like I said, this got like a, it's got like a blue cast to it, meaning it's got more blue in it than reds or yellows or anything like that, like tans. So this is definitely in the gray blue family. But you really don't notice it because like, when you look right at it, it looks like black. But as soon as the sun hits it, it turns it like a light gray. And then when the sun goes down, it turns your whole house black. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, see the wet mud? That's what I was kind of talking about. Trying to work around it. And I cut 3 pieces. This piece, I cut the wall, then I cut this, then I cut this. I try to separate those. And it don't matter which way you go when you're spreading this paint. It don't matter if you can scrub that stuff in. It's the last stroke that you make that matters. So you see how I did this? Then I did this. I separated them. But normally I would just hit it with the roller. But see, this is wet. I want to get as close as possible to it without actually getting into it. So I'm just going to drive it all. I'm going to brush it by hand just to make sure that I don't get wet. I don't get paint on this mud, because if I get paint on this mud, it will lock that mud down. I won't be able to sand it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right up underneath this lip. And I'm only going to cut this trim out. Like, there ain't no mud right here, so you can do that. But my main thing is just get paint on this trim, because there's no mud right here. So if I can cut the trim out, I can at least say the trim's done. Not a fan of that. There's white paint on the corner. It stands out. It stands out in sore thumb. So I'm gonna try this one here. And when I do stuff like this, what I'm really trying to do is get that edge real sharp, so the point's real pointy. so I can use it down in this corner to, what I'm going to do is I'll put it in the corner and I'll twist it, and it's going to feed that paint down into the bottom of the trim, and then I can pull it out a little bit to coat it. Then I'll get out here. See, once I get out here now, I can work with it. It's a little easier to tie into. But sometimes when you get down here, these little tight spots, even though this stuff's all wet, this is already done. You want to get back into it. And a lot of people don't understand this, but like, um, I noticed this over the time. This lip under here and this lip right here is more important than doing the fronts. It's easy. It's so easy to do these fronts. These fronts are so easy. It's the easiest part of our jobs, but it's the things that you can't see that will come back to haunt you. That's why like me personally, I like to do the harder areas first just to get them out of the way. Not to mention just, well, it gets them out of the way, and it makes it easier to tie into when you're doing something that's easier. So if you do the harder area first, then it's easier. Sometimes it's easier to tie into them. Sometimes it's easier to do the easy stuff, then get the harder stuff. But it's just one of them judgment calls that you got to kind of make on the fly. And right now, I'm just going to cut up this corner because there's a drywall patch right there. And you always want to make this 45 there kind of a little fatter than your cut line. And so when you're rolling with the roller, you can stop right here. Really, all you're doing is connecting the roller to the wall.